This is a continuation of the Bacterial Pathogenesis video series. In this part of the video series, we're going to be talking about how bacteria can cause host damage. They can cause host damage in two different ways. The first way is through Siderophores. Siderophores are like scavengers for the bacteria. These are bacterial structures that the bacteria makes in order to go out and search and grab nutrients. Bacteria need nutrients just as much as we do, and so they make these siderophores in order to go and steal nutrients from us. So these siderophores cause damage because they are stealing our own nutrients. So siderophores are going to steal host nutrients. One of the hardest nutrients to come by is iron, and so many times siderophores are going to be used to grab iron from ourselves. However, there are siderophores that are going to be looking for and grabbing other nutrients. But as I mentioned, iron is probably the most common nutrient that is being taken from the body. The other way through which bacteria can cause damage are through toxins. There are two types of bacterial toxins. There are endotoxins and there are exotoxins. Although these are both bacterial toxins, we're going to compare and contrast them and see that they actually are very different and they're going to cause different effects on the body. Starting with endotoxins, endotoxins are the same thing. They're all the same bacterial structure, and the structure is LPS, commonly known as lipopolysaccharide. LPS is found on the outer membrane of bacteria. Because only gram-negative have an outer membrane, only gram-negative are going to have an endotoxin. In addition, LPS is found in every outer membrane, so therefore it's going to be only and all gram-negative. So if you know you're talking about a gram-positive bacterium, you can assume that it will never make an endotoxin. However, vice versa, anytime you hear the word gram-negative bacterium, you now should make the connection, immediately think endotoxin. And anytime you think endotoxin, think gram-negative bacteria. Try to make that connection really strong right now, because that's going to help you for both this unit and the following unit. Exotoxins, on the other hand, are not all the same. So we are going to call them secreted proteins. However, unlike endotoxins, both gram-positive and gram-negative have the capability to make exotoxins. Not all bacteria make exotoxins though. That'd be very dangerous, and humans probably wouldn't be existing now if every single bacterial species made a toxin. But it's good to remember that both can make them. Although both can make them, it's usually gram-positive bacteria that do it. The next thing we need to understand is whether or not these are doing it intentionally. So LPS is part of the outer membrane. It's not something that the gram-negative bacteria is purposely making to make us sick. So this is unintentional. Imagine how we have our skin layer, and our skin sloughs off and sheds constantly. We don't choose to do that. It's unintentional. It'd be as if our skin was toxic to something else, and we didn't mean to let it leave. So this is unintentional. While exotoxins have a purpose, the bacteria know they're secreting them to cause the damage, and so these are going to be intentional. Endotoxins are always going to cause the same three effects. Those three effects are fever, inflammation, and septic shock. One thing to make note of with the fever is that the endotoxin is not causing the fever directly. So although an effect of endotoxins is going to be a fever, it's not the endotoxin that is telling the body to raise the temperature. Rather, this is going to be interleukin 1. So interleukin 1 induces the fever. Although endotoxins will cause a fever, this is what actually induces the fever. So just make sure that you have that in your mind, that a fever is induced by interleukin 1, although a side effect of an endotoxin is a fever. These three things, fever, inflammation, and septic shock, are going to be systemic, meaning the entire body is affected. Exotoxins are not all going to cause the same exact effect. For example, cholera produces an exotoxin that makes you have diarrhea, while botulism has an exotoxin that causes flaccid paralysis. So every exotoxin is going to be different and have a different effect on the body. So we're going to say they're cell-specific, but I'm also going to make mention that they usually target the plasma membrane. So the area where the exotoxins will target on the cells is going to be on the plasma membrane. And unlike endotoxins that were systemic, exotoxins, because they're targeting a specific cell, means it's going to target a specific area. So therefore, exotoxins are going to be localized. The last thing that we need to discuss with endotoxins and exotoxins is their toxicity level, or how much does it take to make you sick. Endotoxins, it requires a lot. So these are toxic at high amounts. To understand the high amounts, this is also known as low toxicity. So it's kind of confusing because you have low toxicity, which means it takes a lot to harm you. So just know that both of them are ways to describe endotoxins. So high amounts, which means low toxicity. Therefore, exotoxins requires low amounts, or in other words, has a high toxicity. To help understand how toxic exotoxins truly are, if you took a single paperclip that weighs 1 gram Now if you divided that paperclip into 1,000 equal pieces, or the equivalence of 1 milligram, if you took 1 milligram of botulism toxin, that could kill over 200,000 guinea pigs. Not sure why they chose guinea pigs. It must be some sort of weight ratio, but if you were to turn that over to people, that could kill several thousand people with that 1 milligram of botulism toxin. So that's a very, very little amount that requires to cause a lot of harm to us. So if that helps you memorize exotoxins, knowing that botulism is going to cause this high toxicity, or it's going to harm you at low amounts, that is one way to memorize it. In the next video, we're going to discuss how bacteria can potentially get exotoxins. Because remember, endotoxins are found because of a bacterial structure, LPS, therefore only and all gram-negative are going to have them.